You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Athan Hristodulu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Athan Hristodulu. It is November 12th, 2021. We're doing our NFL picks even earlier than we've been doing as I kind of move the schedule around and reorganize some stuff. We have ourselves some pretty good games coming up this week after a wild Thursday night football upset. The Miami Dolphins taking down the Ravens 22-10. I don't think a lot of people called that one there, but we have a great slate of games to talk about. So as always, if you enjoy what we're doing here, make sure you like the video, subscribe, comment down below who you think is going to be winning some of these games as well. I'd love to have the conversations with you guys. And remember, follow me on our socials. We have the Greeks Gridiron on pretty much everything. And then we also have the fan question email up and running now as well, thegreeksgridiron@gmail.com, where you guys can submit questions and see them answered on the show as we start out the videos. So without further ado, let's talk about this week's slate of games. So to start things off, firstly, if you see my prediction record up at the top right of the screen there after Thursday night's game, I am now at 78-58 on the season. We've had a couple of pretty wild weeks of upsets. This has been one of the, I think, most competitive seasons I have seen with just like, if you look at the AFC, the entire, like, I think it's like, what, top 12 teams in the AFC are all within like a game or two of each other. It's pretty wild how tightly knit everything is. So, I mean, picking this year has been rather difficult, I guess, to say the least. Now, for the games that we have this week, the first one we're going to talk about to kick off is a very interesting one in the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, you have the Falcons, who have had a very mixed season. They've won some interesting games. They've lost some interesting games. And every game that they've played has felt very tight, aside from the two blowout losses they started the year with. Then you have the Cowboys, who are a very good team. They've hung in with some of the best in the league and won, and then just barely lost to the Buccaneers there in week 1. However, they're coming off of a wild and shocking loss to the Denver Broncos, having their offense completely shut down when Dak Prescott was coming back and everyone was excited to see what they do after the big Cooper Rush victory over the Vikings just the week prior. There's a lot riding on this game because you have the Falcons, who are teetering at 4-4. If they want to stay in playoff contention, they kind of need a win here. And then you have the Cowboys, who, trying to assert themselves as one of the best in the league, just took a tough loss to a team that a lot of people picked as inferior, and now you're going up against the Falcons team, who has, again, been a mixed bag. So this is a game that's probably must win and should win for the Cowboys. Meanwhile, it's also must win for the Falcons in more of like an uphill battle if they want to get that victory. As for a winner here, I think I do like the Cowboys. Despite what happened to their offense last week, the Falcons defense is not quite what the Denver Broncos defense is, and I like the Cowboys in Dallas taking down the Falcons. Next up, we have the Saints taking on the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Another couple of teams that have some question marks on them. We have the missing star running back over in Tennessee with Derrick Henry. And then for the Saints, they are missing their QB1 in Jameis Winston, now being led by quarterback Trevor Siemian. Questions abound for both of these offenses because, one, obviously the quarterback position. Is Trevor Siemian the guy that's going to be able to lead these guys to the playoffs? They're 5-3. He helped lead that big upset win over the Buccaneers, and then ultimately going up against the Falcons just last week, could not get the job done. Stormed a comeback, but could not complete with that late game field goal that the Falcons were able to drum up after a monster 64-yard catch from Cordero Patterson. Meanwhile, the Titans just lost Derrick Henry. They just got a really big win because of a massive defensive effort by the Tennessee Titans defense there over the LA Rams. However, I am concerned about that offense. It was not quite the offense we have been expecting to see from the Titans after Derrick Henry going down. It's going to be a interesting next few weeks as we watch this Titans offense evolve. The passing game really was not there going up against the Rams. You're getting a Saints defense that has also been pretty solid defensively through the air, so we'll have to see how the game turns out. But I think with the bigger question mark being the quarterback situation over in New Orleans as opposed to the missing running back in Tennessee, I think I like the Titans winning this one. They're at home as well. Titans fans will be there to cheer them on and push them into a victory. I like the Titans going into this one. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Colts, and As a Colts fan, I have watched the Jaguars beat us numerous times in positions that they should not have been winning the games. So this is definitely not one I'm overlooking as a fan. The Colts are 4-5. The Jaguars are 2-6. The Colts need this win if they want to make their way into the playoffs, or at least keep themselves in the playoff conversation, especially with the Titans really starting to pull away in that division there. A loss to the Jaguars here would be an absolute disaster for the Colts. They are the better team. The Jaguars are dealing with a lot, but they did just get a massive win over the Buffalo Bills in that 9-6 slobber knocker of a game there. But ultimately, I think that the Colts are not going to overlook the Jaguars in this one. You just watch them upset the Bills in wild fashion. The Bills made that defense look like one of the best in the league with how much they struggled offensively there. I think the Colts have a good game plan going into this one. It's a division rival. I want to say they're not going to get shocked and upset here, but I could definitely see it happen. But I am going to go with the Colts. I feel like they're the safer pick to go with. So for the record, I'm going to go for the Colts. Do I think the Jaguars can win this game? Absolutely, because I watch them do it every single year at least once. Next up, we're looking at the Browns and the Patriots, and this is a great AFC matchup for the playoffs. Both teams are 5-4. Both teams are also dealing with running back issues, and Damian Harris having a potential concussion issue going on right now, and then Nick Chubb dealing with COVID may not be in the game as well. Kareem Hunt is also out for the Browns, so we might see Dearness Johnson playing, and whoever the Patriots decide to throw in there to start for them. Ultimately, I think this is a really fun matchup. I'm actually going to this game, so I'm really excited for it. But, I mean, you have the Browns, whose offense has been pretty good. There's been some random games where it's been not quite as good. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Browns' offense did not look good going up against, I forget who they were playing against, but they had a really tough game a couple of weeks ago, and then obviously turned things right around with their big win over the Bengals just this past week. And then you have the Patriots, who their defense has steadily gotten better. Offense has steadily gotten better, but has had a tough couple of weeks, to say the least. I think Mac Jones has probably put together his two worst games as a pro the last couple of weeks, going up against some really fast and aggressive defenses, though, so I do want to mention that. But I don't think anyone could really call this one just being like, yeah, with confidence, this is who's going to win. I think this is a very down-the-middle, anyone-can-win type of game. It's going to be a close one, in my opinion. I think, though, ultimately, Patriots at home, I'm going to go with them. I think Bill Belichick is going to be able to put his defense in the right positions to shut down this Browns offense and pick up a big victory. Next up, we're looking at the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets in what is a absolute trap game. One, because the Bills just lost to the Jaguars last week, and two, because the Jets' only two wins are against the Bengals and Titans, who are also playoff contenders. Do not overlook the Jets is all I have to say for the Bills. The Bills are the better team in this situation. They should be winning this game. You have the wild card in Mike White. We didn't get to see him a couple of weeks ago get his start because of an injury. So we get to see him. And is he going to live up to the expectations he set with us just, 3 weeks ago at this point now? Because they had the bye week too. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. Or was that just like a one and done, lightning was struck in a bottle and they got a big upset over the Bengals? I don't know, but I will say this. I am intrigued with this game. Eyes should be on this game because you have such a massive wild card in Mike White, who had an outstanding game. This should be a good one. If you're the Bills, hopefully they're not overlooking the Jets. That's all I got to say. Don't overlook them because they've beaten two teams that overlooked them already, and you don't want to be number 3. Next up, we're looking at the Lions and the Steelers. 0-8 Lions taking on a 5-3 Steelers that are riding a 4-game win streak. The Steelers' defense has looked like the top 10 defense that they were last year and are looking like another top 10 defense again this year. The offense has definitely slowed down. Ben Roethlisberger, not quite what he used to be. Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously gone for the season as well. But Najee Harris, balancing out that offense and doing what he does best, has looked really good for the Steelers. I love what they're doing with him. They need to keep that offense balanced, and they need to ride the shoulders of Najee Harris. The Lions, on the other hand, 0-8, some really tough losses to some really good teams that were really, really close, but then also getting blown out a lot recently. I don't know if they're regressing at this point and really things are just starting to unfold, but the Lions are a team that I keep trying to pick their first victory, and against a Steelers defense that has given a lot of people problems, I do not expect the team that is ranked 29th in the league in points forced to take down the Steelers defense. So I'm going to pick the Steelers with this one. I think it's a pretty clear-cut choice on this. I will take the favorite here. at Pittsburgh. I don't expect Detroit to do a whole lot. Should be a good one for the Steelers. Next up, we're looking at what was an AFC wildcard matchup just last year and almost caused us to not see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl because the Washington football team was like this close. The Buccaneers taking on Washington in Washington. If this was the beginning of the year, I feel like it would be a harder one to call. But Washington football team's defense has not been nearly as good as I expected them to be. I picked them to be the best team in the NFC East. I thought that defense with some upgrades on offense was going to really push this thing forward. You have Ron Rivera there, really great coach. I am very surprised with how this team has turned out so far and fallen to their 2-6 record. They're allowing the league worst 286.8 passing yards a game. They're 32nd in the league with that. And then on top of that, points allowed 28.4. It's 29th. There is not a lot to like about them defensively right now, going up against a team that is literally first in passing yards and points a game. Good luck against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am going to pick the Bucs here. I don't see a real strong route for them to win this game, but I mean, I guess anything's possible, especially this season with the way the NFL's gone. But expect Tom Brady, after a tough loss to the Saints a couple of weeks ago and having to sit through that with a bye week, coming back and things getting pretty serious for the Buccaneers. Next up, we're looking at the Cardinals taking on the Panthers. This one is in Arizona. Really good matchup defensively. However, I think the biggest deciding factor here is ultimately the P.J. Walker-led Panthers offense. I just don't know if that offense with P.J. Walker leading the way is going to be effective enough to take down a Cardinals defense that is ranked 3rd in points allowed, 6th in passing yards allowed, 18th in rushing, and then the offense, meanwhile, on the other hand, may run into some trouble with the Panthers defense. The defense is really good in Carolina. They have one of the best pass rushes and one of the best passing defenses in the league. They're second best there. The matchup looks good, but ultimately I think that the Panthers, they went after Cam Newton for a reason. He's not starting this week just because they want to give him time to kind of get in on the playbook and figure out what the heck's going on. I don't think throwing out there him out there this week would be the best choice anyways. I think the Cardinals take the win at this one at home. I'm excited to see what the Panthers end up doing, though. They have a playoff caliber defense. The offense just has not been able to hold up their end of the bargain this year, and I think with Cam Newton coming back, it should be an upgrade at quarterback for them, and I like their chances moving forward. Next up, we're looking at the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Vikings have had some really tough losses, some really shocking losses, and just like lost opportunity is what this season has been. 3-5, just things have not gone their way. Whenever the offense is playing well, the defense isn't. Whenever the defense is playing well, the offense is. It just feels like both sides of the football cannot get on the same page, and that has been the story of the Vikings all season long. Meanwhile, you have a Chargers team who cannot stop the run, but is really good at stopping the pass. Has a really good quarterback with Justin Herbert, has a really good running back in Austin Eckler. I think ultimately, though, this is going to boil down to the uncertainty of the Vikings. I don't know what I'm getting on them, like from them offensively or defensively week in and week out. I just have a hard time trusting the Vikings at this point. I like the Chargers. I think at home, Justin Herbert's going to be able to take advantage of a softer defense. Should bode well for LA. Could Minnesota win? Maybe, but I think I like the Chargers a little bit more going into this one. Next up, we're looking at the Eagles and the Broncos. The Broncos obviously riding mile high, no pun intended. Oh, actually, you know what? Pun intended. They are riding mile high after taking down a Cowboys team that nobody expected them to beat. The defense has proven that they are legit. Everyone was saying, their defense has been good because of some of the people they played. Well, they just shut down one of the best offenses in the league and made them look like a JV team, honestly. Meanwhile, you have the Eagles who, the offense, very mixed. They have a really good running game. Passing game, though, is not great. 28th ranked in the league, only averaging about 209 yards a game. The defense is also not very great as well. They've been blown out a couple of times. They've had some really bad losses. But I will say, the receiving game is okay for the Eagles, I guess. I don't know. I love Devontae Smith. I love what he's doing over there, but that's about as much as I like about the Eagles offense. I guess that's all I really have to say about that. For the Broncos, I think that they have a clear path to victory of just continuing to play the defense that they've played. Whenever Bradley Chubb gets back, that defense is just going to only get infinitely better. But as long as they protect the football, they're not forcing turnovers, and they do what they did just last week, the Broncos should be winning this one. It's at home. Teams seem to struggle in Denver. Denver's a really good home field advantage with that altitude. So I'm going to go with the Broncos taking a W here over Philadelphia. Next up, this is a grudge match. I think that this one, every time it comes up, is always exciting. That catch into the end zone, the double catch, whatever you want to call it, that happened a handful of years ago. I think it was back in 2015, has set off a spark of these two teams just not liking each other. The Seahawks are only 3-5 though. The Packers are sitting at 7-2. This is a must-win game for the Seahawks. The Packers, they definitely need to win this game too if they want to continue their dominance in the NFC, but the Seahawks need this one a little bit more, in my opinion. Russell Wilson's coming back. Chris Carson has been activated off the IR. The offense should look a lot better this week than it has in recent memory, honestly, in the last few weeks. But the Packers defense, if they're getting Aaron Rodgers back this week, the Packers defense has really stepped up this year, has looked a lot better than it has in the last few years. The offense, not quite what it was last year, but still very good and very able to get it done when necessary. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you can't go wrong with that group. They have a really good offensive line. I think that ultimately the Seahawks defense continues to be their biggest weakness. I don't know if they can really hold Aaron Rodgers and the Packers back enough to win this game. So I am going to go with the Packers winning this one. It's also in Green Bay, so home field advantage is on top of that. I like the Packers in this one. Give me them for the victory. Next up, we're looking at the Chiefs and the Raiders. I just want to say, man, I really feel for the Raiders. They have dealt with so much adversity this year, and they are still 5-3. The entire AFC West is literally 5-3 or 5-4. It's just a complete horse race for that division right now. And this is in Las Vegas. There is a very good opportunity for them to win this game because the Chiefs have not quite been the Chiefs that we've come to know and love the last few years. But I think that at this point, the releases and the loss of players and the loss of your head coach and everything might be starting to mount. They're coming off a really surprising loss, in my opinion, to the Giants just last week. Maybe the Giants are better than we all thought because they're finally getting all their injured pieces back. I don't know. But the Chiefs are slowly getting it together, I would say. I mean, they're still not quite the Chiefs that we've known, but, I mean, they have rattled off a few wins here. It's not the team that was 3-4 just a couple of weeks ago. So I will say that the Chiefs do have a good opportunity to win here. The Raiders have been dealing with some stuff. I am going to pick the Chiefs despite the Raiders probably being the favorite in this one. I think that the offense is better at this moment in time in Kansas City. The Raiders, though, defensively are a better team, but I just think that with the loss of Henry Ruggs, they did bring in Deshaun Jackson to try to mitigate that. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them. I'm kind of concerned for the team at this point, which is dealing with so much adversity. I love the Raiders. I love what they're doing. I just don't know if they can overcome this much at this point, and I kind of hope they prove me wrong. Last game to talk with you guys about, we have the LA Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. People were joking earlier this week on social media about how the 49ers home field advantage is literally non-existent. I saw somebody post that they're like 0-153 since Levi Stadium was put up. And while obviously that's quite the hyperbole, it definitely feels like that. They lose a lot at home. And honestly, right now, this 49ers team is not where I expected them to be. Jimmy Garoppolo continues to be up and down, injured sometimes. It's kind of the same old song and dance, aside from that 1 year he had that when they went to the Super Bowl. Defense has not been where it needs to be. While they're really good at stopping the pass, they are just letting running games roll all over them. They're allowing 25 points a game, and they're 25th in the league on that number. I think that the Rams overall, the Von Miller hype, the Odell Beckham hype at this point, I mean, I think Von Miller's going to get to finally play this week. Odell Beckham's not going to start this week, or not start, but he's not going to play this week. He's definitely going to play next week. There is a lot of excitement, I'm sure a lot of energy in that Rams group, and I just have a tough time believing that the 49ers are going to pull out a win here, so I am going to go with the Rams. I like the Rams in this one, and I think a lot of other people do as well. But that is my NFL picks for the week. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you think is going to win? I appreciate you all for hanging out and watching. I will catch you guys in the next video, which will be coming out in the next few days. So keep an eye out for that. But enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy Football Sunday, and I will see you guys in our next video.